Good evening and welcome everybody here. I am so very glad to be with you, albeit virtually. Yes, it is that time of year again. It is time for the 2023 virtual night. I am your fabulous fourth grade teacher, Frey, and I'm glad to be joining you on this lovely evening. First of all, a little bit about me. I am Mrs. Fry. Yes, it looks like Frey, but it sounds like Fry. And while this is my first year as a teacher here at St. Joseph's School, I have been a parent for 3 years, so I do know a little bit of the lay of the land. I graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I live in Apple Valley with my lovely husband, Steve, and our four fabulous children, Bridget, Lucia, Edith, and Fritz. Fritz and Edith are actually students here at St. Joseph's School as well. So it's kind of nice having them here with me all the time. I love to knit. My husband and I like to curl with Dakota curling, and I do like to snuggle up with a good book. I did forget one of my family members, and that's our adorable standard schnauzer, Mina. You can kind of see her in the corner there, looking for treats there. And I am very excited to be with you and your families and class this year. Now, let's go talk about our schedule just a little bit here. I did mention this is my first year at St. Joseph's School, but this is my seventh year teaching overall. I have taught anyone from high school age all the way down to third grade, but I'll tell you a secret. Fourth grade really is the best. So let's talk a little bit about our schedule. Generally speaking, our schedule does follow the 6-day cycle, and there are some changes on Thursdays and Fridays. But for the most part, we'll start our days pretty much the same way. Arrivals between 7:45 and 8:10. From 8:10 to 8:20 or so, we have a little bit of a morning meeting. It's time for morning seat work, just a time to settle ourselves for the day. After that, we go into what I call recitation. It's our time to really learn and cement some of those amazing facts that are good to have in our brains. Like, what do the stars on the flag represent, and why are there 13 stripes? After recitation, we'll go right on into catechism or religion, where we get to learn more about our beautiful Catholic faith. After catechism, we have arithmetic, which is our math block, followed by a snack, because by that time we're ready for a little bit of snacking in the morning. After our snack break, we go right on into our literature block, which does consist of whole group reading as well as book club a little bit later on in this year. After book club, we get ready for lunch. We get a nice little break for lunch, and we come right back after lunch for read aloud time and cursive. Sometimes parents are a little amused with the fact that I still offer read aloud in fourth grade, but I'll tell you, kids love being read to. I love being read to, and it's a great way to develop not only vocabulary, but also a sense of how we can really bring a story to life through our words. So, read aloud is so very important. After read aloud, we go into cursive. And I know some people may be saying there's no reason to teach cursive. We're all going to be typing on our computers. But I will tell you that's the reason to teach cursive. Cursive helps develop fine motor skills. And some of my students right now, I do hear their complaints of that their hands are hurting a little bit after cursive. Don't worry, that's muscle being built. And just because your hands are hurting right now does not mean they're going to be hurting in a week or so. After cursive, we go into our language arts block. We're going to rotate between spelling and grammar, and then I'll sneak writing in there every so often. I do focus on spelling and grammar because those two elementary blocks together really make the foundation for writing. It's very difficult to be a good writer if you have to go back and look up how words are being spelled, or if your writing is riddled with grammatical errors. After our language arts block, we go on into geography and science. Geography and science are going to alternate by units. So currently we're on our first unit of geography, which is going to be all about the landscapes and landforms here in the United States. After that unit is done, we'll go on into our science unit. After geography, we have our snack break, and that is going to oftentimes coincide right away with pickup and with going and getting ready for our evening. Notice on our schedule, we have our specials only in the afternoon. We will rotate among PE, music, and Spanish, and those days will just cycle through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can also see on here that we do have library on day number 4. That does take the part of our, or take the place of our catechism block. And we will have mass weekly on Thursdays, taking that catechism block. We have art weekly on Fridays, which is very, very exciting. And every month, I'm going to take our students into adoration because it's always a good chance to take a little bit of time to sit with the Lord and to be able to just adore Him and be in His presence. Convocation is once a month, not once a month, Mrs. Frey. Convocation is weekly on Mondays, where you have a chance to come together as a whole school for celebration and to remind ourselves what a wonderful gem we have here. Now, as with everything, we do have to talk about behavior. We want to maximize positive behaviors and minimize negative behaviors. And I use a marble jar for that. So throughout the day, the class has the opportunity to earn marbles for positive behaviors. Such behaviors like being ready to go when Mrs. Frey is ready to start our whole class discussion, having your materials, being a good neighbor, being quiet. Sometimes it can be really hard to not want to talk to your friends all the time. But when we practice that virtue of self-control and we keep our mouths quiet for longer than 2 minutes, then that definitely gives us a chance to earn marbles. However, we also can lose marbles for negative behaviors, like getting out of our seats without permission, yelling across the room, talking while Mrs. Frey is talking, being loud in the hallways. These are all things that can really affect our neighbors and really do go against our honor pledge. Speaking of our honor pledge, let's talk a little bit about the honor system. The honor system is a chance for each individual student to earn honor slips, and it works almost like school money. That's why I've heard some students refer to it as school money. And so you can earn honor slips that you can then save to cash in for various fabulous prizes. Honor slips can be earned and be given by any teacher or aide throughout the school, and we earn honor slips by showing the qualities of humility, obedience, neighborliness, the opportunity to show your faith, and respect. We also know that sometimes we make poor choices and we make mistakes. And so if we make a poor choice, which leads to our dishonoring our honor pledge, that will result in a check. And that is going to be recorded on the grade 4 clipboard. This clipboard follows the students throughout various areas of the school, including the hallway. And so if your student does get 3 checks in one day, it will lead to a note coming home. In the same vein, if your student gets 5 checks in 1 week, that will also mean a note home. And again, this is more just to make sure that you as parents and guardians know what's going on here at school, because we do have to work together to make sure that we are really helping to develop these wonderful young people into who God has created them to be. Now, I cannot do this all alone. So I really do lean on you as parents and guardians to help walk alongside with me during this development process. Check in with your 4th grader every so often to find out how they lived out the honor code at school, or were there any areas of opportunities of improvement for really living out that honor code. 4th grade is a really great time of development, but it can also be really challenging because there's a lot of conflicting feelings and a lot of conflicting emotions that come up. And sometimes our emotions are really, really big and we cannot contain them. So working on them at home and talking about it at home really does go a long way with making things move so much smoother here at St. Joseph's School. 4th graders have lockers. Yay! Those lockers are going to be used to store their outerwear. In the beginning of the year, we did start out by having all of our materials in our lockers. However, that seemed to be a little bit of a challenge because of the distance from our classroom to our lockers. And so our books and materials are now stored in our classroom, while our outerwear and our lunch for those who bring a home lunch are going to be stored in the lockers. Ideally, as the year goes on and as we approach the spring trimester, we'd love to begin to transitioning to storing all of our materials in the lockers rather than having them in the classroom. Homework is a partnership between home and school. However, it is your students' responsibility to fill out their planners in the afternoon. I do give a time in the schedule dedicated to filling out your planners. However, I am not going to fill out planners for your student. I have 24 students. That's a lot of planners to fill out. And so, as a backup, because sometimes I know things happen, I will post homework on Seesaw at the end of the day. Generally speaking, there are three types of homework. We'll have daily homework, weekly homework, and then the occasional pop-up homework. And expect your student to bring around 15 to 35 minutes of total work time each day for working on their homework. We know that life happens, and therefore we're grateful to have Educate to help keep track of any missing or late or turned in work. Now, for some clarification, a missing assignment is an assignment that has not been turned in. I have never seen it. I don't know what it looks like from your student's perspective. A late assignment is an assignment that is turned in late. An excused assignment means that your student is excused from that particular assignment. Most daily homework assignments will be given a value of 2 points. However, 1 point may be awarded if the homework is incomplete or completed poorly. Sometimes students think that teachers aren't looking very closely and they'll just write nonsense words in the fill in the blank, or they'll write nonsense numbers in their math. That is poor work, and that will lead to a deduction in points. Assignments that have a 0 will remain at a 0 until it is turned in, and late assignments will receive partial credit. It is your students' responsibility to complete their assignments on time. I do not chase after missing or late work. It is part of their responsibility as a student who is growing up. Most of you might be familiar with the Star Binder, or you've seen it in your student's backpack. The Star Binder is the hub of all school things. The website logins are inside the front cover of the planner, and the planners also inside of that Star Binder. The Star Binder will also have the lunch menu, the reading calendar, the honor matrix and prize levels, and beginning next week, Monday, on the 18th, your student's planner should be signed every night. That way you can see what they have written down and what they have to do. We also have our binders for Spanish and music. That is one binder with 2 sections to it. The students take that binder to music, they take it to Spanish, and that has all that material inside of that binder. Service projects are done at home or outside of school. There's one service project that's due per trimester, and the requirement is that there is at least 1 hour of service. The service project must be signed by a parent or guardian, and it is due by the last day of the trimester. I will make sure to keep an eye on those who have not turned in service projects. Guess what? Nobody has just yet, but we'll make sure everyone has an opportunity to get that service project done. That's about all I have for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for hanging out with me for a little bit. Of course, I cannot go without saying I am really honored that you have chosen to send your kids to the school and allow me to take one little part of life with them. As far as communication goes, everyone was invited to Seesaw, and that's really the easiest way to communicate with me, because sometimes I don't get to email until very late in the evening or very, very early the next day. So you can go ahead and send me a message on Seesaw. It's really quick and easy. It's also where I will send out newsletters. I'll also post our homework onto Seesaw. if you would like to email me, you can reach out at cariana.fry@stjosapps.org. And of course, you can also contact me with any questions or concerns. We are a team. I'm here to work along with you to help your fourth grader become a more independent and responsible little citizen. Oh, in addition to that St. Joe's app email, I do want to share that you can also email me at cariana.fry@stjosephcommunity.org. But let's be real, the St. Joe's app email is a little bit smaller. Thank you again for taking some time to hang out with me today, and know that I am praying for each and every one of you. And of course, I will ask for your prayers in return. Have a great night, and God bless you all. Not record.